Hi, this is Dan here. I hope you're doing well today. I'm going to show you today a little groove that I was given to play over for a remote online session I was doing. I do loads of those. And I was given this chord progression and, a vague outline of the rhythm. And the client was just saying, just make it sound funky, really. Just make it sound good. So I'm just going to take you through the groove first and then teach you how you can spice things up a little bit. The groove is pretty simple. It goes like this. We've got an E chord. Now the chords are quite important because it tells you what key we're in. And that more or less just tells you the note selections that you can use to spice things up a little bit. Now, we've got a little bit of a syncopated rhythm going on with the offbeat eighth notes. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it's... And then you've got and 3, and 4, and. So always have your foot tapping and always know where these beats are. So again, it goes... And that's all very well and good, but the bit that he was talking about in terms of making it sound funky, you need to be able to inject a few things in there. So I've got the backing track here, and by the way, you can download the PDF and the backing track for free by following the link below. I'm going to kick the track in and out and just demonstrate what I'm talking about. So the first thing to talk about is rhythm. So I'll kick the backing track in, play along a little bit, and then show you what I'm doing. So just injecting a little bit more rhythms in the way of 16th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now thinking like and ghost notes. Just dampening the strings, plucking, and you get that dead sound. That kind of thing. That just injects a little bit more rhythm into the basic groove. Now I must say at this point that everything I'm showing you in this lesson isn't to say always add these things into bass lines, because actually I overplayed a bit. And one of the feedback, sometimes you'll do like 3 takes if you do this remote stuff online and you're working, over email. I'll usually over deliver and do loads of takes. And one thing I forgot to do really was this actual basic groove. So he wanted a bit more of the basic rhythm and less of the fancier stuff. But he did want some of the fancy stuff, and that's what I'm teaching you today, really. So that's the rhythm part of things. And now let's talk about note selection. We've got pretty simple root notes going on right now. I'm going to take you through a couple of ideas that are really going to help you. So the first thing I need to tell you about is the key. So E, F sharp, and G sharp minor, those chords belong to the key of G sharp natural minor, G sharp minor you would say, or B major. 5 sharps equals B major and its relative minor is G sharp natural minor. Just one of these basic things you need to know. And when you know that, you can do loads of things. I'll demonstrate pentatonic first. So let me just do this. I just added a little bit more melody into the main bass line, and at the end there I settled on 4 notes. I was playing F sharp, G sharp, B and C sharp. Now there's a G sharp there. This is the 4th fret of the E string. And that's G sharp minor pentatonic. The notes of that are G sharp to B, frets 4 to 7 of the E string. And then you've got C sharp, D sharp, frets 4 to 6 of the A string. And F sharp, fret 4 of the D string. All those notes, wherever you play them, are G sharp minor pentatonic which is actually the same notes as B major pentatonic. That's what I mentioned before about them being relative. So these notes here, F sharp, G sharp, B and C sharp, frets 2 to 4 of the E and the A strings, I just settled there and went. A little bit of rhythm at the end there with the ghost note. But that demonstrates, I hope, that by just injecting a few notes, in this case from that pentatonic scale, you can use those notes in and around the root notes of the main groove, and it just adds a lot. If I do a similar thing, let's do it without the track first, but just maybe a few more notes of the minor pentatonic, you'll hear that it can sound really good. So. Okay, so there. I'm just using a few more notes in the scale, in the same scale. That would be one octave, and that would be the start of the next octave. And of course, if you add in slides, hammer-ons, all those kinds of techniques, it really makes the bass line sound very good. Very similar idea to that would be just to use notes from the key, so G sharp, natural minor. Now these are note choices, and how you play them is what's going to bring them to life, and that's like the techniques I just mentioned before. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that was definitely too much. I wouldn't ever do that in a normal take. At one point when I was playing along, I just did stick to the groove a little bit, like, and just added something in just like that. And all I was doing there, just notes from the key. So the sharps that you see at the beginning, that's a key signature, and that tells you what key you're in. So if you start on a G sharp, you play all those 5 sharps, you get G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, and F sharp, G sharp. That lots of sharps in this particular key, which was the key of the piece I was given. So by knowing those notes, and I'm not really thinking individual notes, I'm thinking patterns, because I love patterns. See how that's the same? So I know if I'm in this position, there are the notes. If I'm in this position, there are the notes. So if I'm going, at the end there, a little bit of pentatonic. So you're using really just, well, I am anyway, pentatonic or notes from the key. And in terms of note selection, 80% of the time in pop, funk, rock bass lines, that's going to work and it's going to sound really, really great. I'll come back to that point though about taste and how you inject this into your lines. Really what the client in this case wanted in the end was something a bit simpler, and you really need to react to the vocals and everything that you hear in whatever you're playing, whether it's live or in the studio. And so that basic groove, you know, that's really what the music wants, is the bass player to play the basic groove. But for me, you know, players like Pino Palladino, they add all these lovely touches that I personally love in bass playing. That's why I've listened to as many bass players as I can and borrowed those sorts of ideas. You know, I can't recommend that highly enough. It's just listening to bass lines you like and trying to figure out what is going on in what particular moment. Keep things simple, and you'll hear fills, you know, towards the end of phrases, and you'll hear probably less rather than more, you know. So that's a good thing. Just stay on the groove and just every now and again inject something. So what you can do now is follow the link below, download the PDF and download the backing track. And first of all, keep things really, really simple. I'll also give you a couple of shapes that you can use in this particular bass line. And you can use those shapes to spice things up a little bit and add your own touch to this very simple bass line. So I hope that lesson helped you and you can use these ideas in your own bass lines, live or in the studio. If you did like that lesson, here's another one very similar to this one that you'll like too. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.